for me, and like the downloads have been nonstop. So I'm super, super, super excited to kick it off with this first one. So the series is called The Countdown to Quitting, right? And the first topic that I'm going to cover in this series on the countdown to quitting today is feelings that you may experience, or feelings that you can expect to feel as the clock winds down on you giving your notice and actually piecing out and leaping into the life of your wildest dreams, most likely full-time entrepreneurship, and doing the thing that you have been talking about and dreaming about for a minute now, right? If you're here with me live, I see a couple of people. Hey, do me a favor and say, hey, let me know that you're here. Drop an emoji or something, whatever you want to do so that I know that you're here. And if you happen to be catching the replay, hey to you also. Thank you for watching. I know the timing is a little bit different, and that's okay. Like, you're still here for a reason. And like my shirt says today, you got this. Hey, Mercy. So while I'm here, in case like you happen to come across this video, somebody shared it with you, what have you, and you don't know who I am, it's all good. There's a first time for everything. I am Danielle, the coach. I'm a certified life and leadership coach. I help millennial entrepreneurs break up with the status quo and unapologetically create the life of their wildest dreams. A lot of times, the major life transition that I'm supporting my clients with is helping them to quit a decades long corporate career and shift into full-time entrepreneurship. So the thing that's keeping them from having done it before they met me is that they don't have the confidence to quit. And that is one of many things that I support them with, but that's the most um, important thing I'll say that I help them with is mustering up the courage, developing the courage to quit what's no longer serving them, their job and some other stuff, with confidence. So that's who I am, what I do, who I do it for, and why I'm even more excited to talk about what I'm talking about today, with the countdown to quitting, like feelings that you can expect as the clock is winding down. So what I want to do is I want to invite you, if you are that person that I just described, you are an entrepreneur, but you're still also juggling that 9 to 5, and you know that you will not be retiring from the place that you currently are employed, independent of what you do on the side, right? You know that there is a bigger calling over your life. You know that your purpose is waiting for you to like lean into it. And you know there's so much ground that you haven't even begun to cover, but you haven't been able to cover it because you're spending time in a place that has once been secure and comfortable and provided you with some sense of complacency up until now. And so there's the dilemma, right? So if you know that's you, and you know that you look forward to the day where the clock is like literally ticking because you have a date on your calendar, whether you've communicated it to someone or not, you know that the time is coming. You know that you're getting ready to wrap this thing up, so you can ride off into the sunset and live and create the life of your wildest dreams. If you know that's you, but you also know that the reason why you haven't done it yet, the reason why you haven't leaned into it, the reason why you haven't explored what's possible, the reason why you haven't bet on yourself is because you lack the confidence for whatever reason, and likely very valid reasons, but the confidence is not there. But if you had the confidence to do it, you would have done it a long time ago. If you know that's you and you are ready to like lock in and explore what it's like to have the right non-judgmental support and accountability to usher you out of a place and space that's no longer serving you and into a realm of unlimited possibilities where you are the CEO of your life. You are the CEO of your leave. You're the CEO of your calendar, all of the things, but you're also making an impact in the world on other people that's in alignment with your purpose. If you know that's you and you're ready to kind of shift out of the monotonous status quo safe place into a place where you take calculated risk and you literally create the life of your wildest dreams, I want to invite you to book a complimentary strategy session. and I will help you kind of unpack what's been in the way and really strategize on how you can, what the path of least resistance is, and getting you from where you are to where you really want to be. We'll go through that. I'll help you with some strategy. And I also want to let you know that you may receive an invitation to work with me in a deeper capacity and in a longer term capacity in support of your dreams, your aspirations, and helping to keep you accountable with executing on the strategy. And why that's important is because you're tired, you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated. And if you could have done it by now in your own strength, right, you would have. But for once, you need somebody to give you what you've been giving everybody and everything else: time, attention, support, accountability, a cheering section, and doing the things that most people won't. You need a you for you. And that is what is going to change the game and get you out of this place and space that you are and moving powerfully, yet gracefully and confidently into where it is that you really, really want to be. All right. So if that's you and like I'm speaking to your soul and your gut is telling you to do it, you might even be scared to have a free conversation with me. I want to invite you to look past that, push through that, and book a complimentary strategy session with me. The link is above or wherever the caption is in the video, depending on where you're watching it. But I want to invite you to book a free strategy session with me. Like, let's talk. Let's talk. You never know what's possible. But what I do know is that there's so much more that's possible than what you're currently experiencing. I know. Got the t-shirt. Got a couple of them, okay? The link is www.daniellethecoach.com/apply. Or again, it's above or wherever near this video in the caption, wherever the caption of the video is, okay? All right, so the countdown to quitting. This is the first installment in the countdown to quitting. Feelings that you can expect as the clock is winding down, right? So there's a myriad of emotions and thoughts that you will have, especially when you are leaving a well-paying job or career where there's security, you're comfortable, you have political savvy in that space, you know how to navigate that organization. There's just a certain ease that you have to maneuvering and showing up in that space, even though on the other side of the spectrum, you're unfulfilled. It's hard for you to get out of the bed in the morning. You are bored out of your mind. You're no longer like the thrill of it is gone. It could be that you're bumping heads with leadership. Like there's been leadership changes, leadership dynamics that in a season where ignorance is bliss, it would have worked. But because you are seasoned, you got almost 2 decades in the game, if not more than 2 decades in the game, right? As a career professional, you know better. And it's just like, listen, I'm spending way too much time and I value my time doing things and fighting battles that are draining the life out of me. And I don't feel like I'm making an impact, right? So all of these things are spiraling and swirling. But then there's also the part of you that's like, oh, well, there's this part about it that I love. I love this part about my job. And so that's kind of why I've been holding on, right? There's a myriad of thoughts and feelings that are going to come up for you. So today I'm going to share 4 of them. So the first one is anxious, like worried, typically. And so this is not my area of expertise when it comes to like the psychology of things, but what I've learned from different spaces that I've been in here lately is that our mind is programmed to think about the worst case scenario. Our mind does what it does so that it can protect us. And so a lot of people that don't have the brain training will default to think about the worst case scenario, and that fuels anxiety. The fear fuels the anxiety because anxiety is driven from fear, right? So it's like, okay, what are you afraid of? Probably failure. Most people that go down this road that I and others that I am serving as my clients a lot of people that take this walk, right? In pursuit of the life of their wildest dreams and the freedom that their soul is craving, the fear comes up. And the fear is the reason why it's merely been a dream or a thought or a conversation piece up until now. It's because, oh, I don't want to, I love the lifestyle that I've created, making, six figures or upwards of six figures. Like my lifestyle is cushy, it's comfortable. I can travel when I want to travel. I do what I want to do. I eat out as much as I want to eat out. I buy what I want to buy when I want to buy it. I got money saved. I'm able to invest. I'm able to do all of these things. And my goodness, what if the well runs dry, right? The worst case scenario. But here is what's interesting about the people that I work with and why I am intentional about serving entrepreneurs is because your goal is not just to quit your job and sit at home and twiddle your fingers and spend all of your savings. Your goal is to leap into full-time entrepreneurship because maybe you have been building a business while juggling your 9 to 5, or maybe you're an aspiring entrepreneur and kind of like I wasn't aspiring, but my coaching business wasn't created until after I left my job because I knew I wanted to go to school and get trained. And then when I finished my training, that's when I started my business. But I had a strategy and I had a plan and I had goals in place, right? So you could be the person that it already has the business that you're working and went, 9 to 5 and then 6 to 12, in the evening doing both, or that there is something bigger and you're skilled and talented and you can monetize your talents and your purpose and your gifts to create revenue and income for you in a different space, right? Independent of an employer. So that's why I serve entrepreneurs specifically when it comes to helping them quit with confidence. Because otherwise, if you're just looking to quit, you really just want another job. But it's a different flex when you're quitting in pursuit of full-time entrepreneurship. There's money waiting for you on the other side of your decision. You're not quitting just to sit home and do nothing for the rest of your life, right? It's kind of like a fake retirement. You're retiring from the corporate space or the government space, but your life after retirement is the one that you're creating. You're working for yourself. You're building your own empire, building your own brand, building your own company, etc. Right? So the first feeling that you will likely feel is anxiety, and the anxiety is rooted in fear. You're afraid of something, and it's probably the fear of failure, which is something that is common for my fellow go-getters. It That's not something that we are naturally like amenable to. We hate it. Like, let's call a spade a spade. We hate it, right? So that's the first feeling. The second feeling is, well, I kind of just said it, right? You feel afraid. So we're just calling a spade a spade. The first is like the anxiety. You feel anxious. The second feeling is you feel afraid. So anxiety aside, you may be in touch with your feelings and you're like, no, I'm scared. Like, I have responsibilities, I have a mortgage, you may have a family, you may have kids, you may be a caregiver, you may have whatever responsibilities or things that are important to you that you may automatically beeline and think that, wow, I might mess something up. Something that's kind of running like a well-oiled machine now, I might mess it up if I, you know, let go of this security blanket that I have, which is my job. It's normal. It's normal to think about that. It's normal to consider it, right? But when that comes into play, there's this space of, yes, this is how I feel. This is why I feel that this way. But what is the reality of the situation? And how might I go about mitigating whatever risk is involved in me making a decision? That's how you counteract like the fear. Like, okay, this is real. This is a possibility, right? But in mitigating the risk, like you got to weigh the pros and the cons. We have a tendency, and I say we as go-getters, because I'm in the mix too, we have a tendency to go all the way to the left and drum up the worst case scenarios known to mankind. And we don't give ourselves any grace when it comes to considering what might happen on the other side of the spectrum. Like, we're go-getters, we're problem solvers, we figure ish out. Like, what about on the other side of the spectrum? And when you weigh both equally, that gives you, it affords you balance, and the balance that's necessary to make a to take calculated risk and make a data informed decision, as opposed to feeling like, oh nope, I'm just throwing it all away, and like whatever's going to happen, like everything's going to unravel, and just go to hell, right? No, that's not necessarily what's going to, it can happen, right? But what can also happen is that, not, on one hand you might fall, on the other hand you might fly, you might soar. So you gotta be conscious about the reality of the situation, and but also give yourself grace enough to be okay with being afraid, but not letting that handicap you, and not letting that paralyze you from even exploring. And that's the crazy thing. Fear will keep us sometimes from even exploring mentally what's possible. We'll think about the worst case situation by default and be like, oh no, like absolutely not doing it, staying far away from it, next, not talking about it, not leaning into it. And it's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What if? What if it wasn't so bleak? What if it what else is possible, right? So the grace enough to sit in and acknowledge your fear, sit in it for a second, a 1 second period. But like, okay, well, why am I afraid? And what's the reality around that? And what's possible? How could I mitigate it? And am I willing to, can I assume the risk that is involved? Because it's about making decisions and owning them, and accepting whatever risk may be involved. So the second one is fear. I see somebody say, can I repeat my email? So I didn't give my email. What I did give was the link to book a free strategy session. And it's www.daniellethecoach.com/apply. And it's also in the caption of the video. Not sure where you may be watching it or which page it's on, but that was what I gave. Good question. The third feeling that you might feel, or you can expect to feel, on your countdown to quitting, is amazed. And so I'm kind of like turning the ship, right? Because it's not all fears and the humdrum, like doomsday type of vibes. It's really not. And when I say you experience a myriad of feelings, you experience a myriad, like the what is it called? The wheel of emotion, whatever it's called, right? You probably go through all of those while you are going through the motions, because you're doing something different. And when it comes to shift, right, up until now, like, things have been happening and causing shift in your world, but now the tables have turned and you are making the decision to shift things, and you are the instigator of the change that you're seeing. And yeah, when you move your cheese, you might knock something off the wall. It happens, right? But because you're doing things, right, you're doing something different on purpose, you're shaking things up, and like, life is gonna happen. So I say all that to say, like, there's a myriad of emotions that you can feel, but the third one is amazed. And let me tell you why you may feel amazed. And I actually just saw somebody on my Facebook page post something similar, so I'm going to share their story, their anecdote. They said that they quit their job yesterday, and by the time they got home, they had another offer waiting on them. They had been presented with another job offer before she made it home. And so I know for my entrepreneurs, like, that's not the promised land for us, because we're like, no, the whole reason I'm quitting is because I want to lean into full-time entrepreneurship. I want to be the CEO of me and my time. I want the freedom and all of the things, right? But when you think about why I say amazed is a feeling that you may experience, it's because when we make a decision about what we want to do and how we're going to do it, even if we don't know the full blown series of steps, but we have a sense of, okay, I think this is how I'm going to attempt to do this thing, and I'm going to just go with the flow, right? But I'm deciding confidently to do a thing, the game changes. The game changes. And I had an experience similar to the story that I just shared you from the person that's on my Facebook page. I've quit 2 6-figure jobs. The very first time I quit, um, I was done, right? Given my notice, things were being put in motion within the organization from an HR standpoint. Like, your girl was like living her best life. I'm out of here. I'm gonna figure it out. And I tell this story often. One of my good girlfriends um, saw me in passing, and she knew that I was leaving, and she was like, "Girl, you not scared?" Because at the time I was making 6 figures, right? I was making a little over 6 figures at the time, and I was just like, "Nah, I'm good. Listen, I got options. Worst case, I'll go be a math teacher somewhere, and no shade, but we all know teachers are not well compensated in most places. Some places they are. But for me, it was a stark contrast from where I was in my career. And so I said, worst case, I'll go be a math teacher. Like, I got a whole math degree, and I said that I'm skilled, I'm teachable, I'm trainable, all of the things. And like, there was a certain level of confidence that I had. Yo, I didn't even I had no clue what that was going to look like, but I just knew that I was going to figure it out. I just knew that I was going to figure it out. And it was so, like, innocent in a sense, and maybe even looking back, it feels like naive, but I had made my minds up. I had made a decision, and I was determined that I was going to do what I was going to do because the math wasn't mathing. I was hating life as it pertained to showing up in that job and dealing with the things I had to deal with from 9 to 5, basically. And I recognized my value, and that in that season, I was more valuable to my job than my job was to me, even if they were paying me 6 figures. It was a flex. It was a flex. And I was certain about my value, and I was certain that I was going to be okay on the other side of my decision, whatever it meant, right? I was open to it, but I knew that I was going to figure it out. I knew I was going to figure it out. And before my 2 weeks was up that time, the first time, I actually ended up being recruited back to the organization to work in a different space. And at that, I got recruited to work in, I'll just leave it at that, in a different department that I was super interested in, right? Had I not made the decision confidently that I'm out, like, let's process this paperwork, let's get this show on the road, the clock is ticking. Whatever you need to know, you need to be asking me the questions or putting me in a space with whoever needs to know it, because your days are numbered as far as it pertains to me being here in this capacity and doing this job. Got recruited back, and I actually took the new position in the different department. Why? Because I wanted to and I could. And I say that you might be amazed for that reason in and of itself. It feels like it came out of nowhere, but no, opportunity presented itself because I made a decision to move my own cheese and shake things up confidently in knowing that I was going to figure it out. Now, mind you, my mindset was, oh, well, I can always go back and teach. I just got to get away from here and figure out what's next with my life. I was willing to take a pay cut back then for the sake of being employed and having new benefits and all of the things. When I got recruited back, it was a lateral transfer. I didn't lose a dime in my salary, but I had a whole new job that I honestly didn't have to apply for because my talent and all of the other things, the work that I had been doing, it spoke for me. There were people advocating for me and saying and sharing to me and other people that no, she's talented. Like, no, like, we can't afford to lose her as an organization. All I had to do was make the decision, and everything else tied to me and what was next for me got in formation. I just had to make the confident decision. And same thing when I put in my notice for the second time. still making six figures, making even more money at that point in time because I had been there for 5 extra years. I decided that I was leaving, but this time I had more personal responsibility. I had a mortgage, and I said, okay, let me be strategic, even more strategic about this, so that I can quit with confidence this time for real. And so for me, it was like figuring out what I wanted to do next, but knowing that I wasn't willing to settle for just taking any old job just to be as uncomfortable and disgruntled in 90 days or another year to have to be doing this same dance because my time here is up. I'm just prolonging the inevitable. And if you haven't heard my story about like how I found my purpose and all of that, I have shared it in a video actually in my free Facebook group. It's called Shift Happens with Danielle the Coach. So you can go look that up on your own time if you want to hear that story. But I took the time to figure out what was next for me and do what I needed to do so that I can lean into that and lean into it confidently. The second time I had a full-blown exit strategy. Full-blown exit strategy. And that is what supported me in being able to quit with confidence. And I'm still amazed even in that story, just because I made a decision, I hired a life coach. I decided what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to get to be certified. As I pivoted into something, a whole new industry, I wanted to have two legs to stand on, and not just be an average coach. I just woke up one day and decided that they wanted to be a coach. That just wasn't what I wanted for myself and my journey and my story. And so I did all of the things, right? Applied to my program of choice at Georgetown, got waitlisted, then finally got accepted into the program. And it's just amazed that, again, when I made a decision, everything that was tied to it that needed to happen got information in order for me to step into this next season confidently in pursuit of the life of my wildest dreams. All of that, right? So prepare to be amazed and wowed when you make a decision and you see how like the things that were lying dormant for you, how they come to fruition, how they come to life, like how they're activated merely by you making a single decision that triggers a series of other decisions. It all starts with a decision. So buckle up, prepare to have your mind, expect to have your mind blown, expect for amazing things to happen, expect for opportunities to just seem like they've fallen in your lap, expect for you to be whatever you needed, the provision that you need in order to do what you want to do next. Expect for the provision to be right there waiting for you. But you haven't noticed it or been aware of it because you haven't needed it up until now. Just expect to be amazed and have your own faith story, just like me and the person I told you about on Facebook. So before I give you this fourth one, right, I want to again make an invitation. If you know that this is the year that you'll be giving your notice and taking that faith leap into full-time entrepreneurship, you know that life has so much more in store for you. And you know, like you are barely seeing the tip of the iceberg where you are. And you know that like your purpose assignment where you are has been fulfilled. So now you're literally like spending and wasting time in a place that no longer serves you and in a place that doesn't need you as much as your next purpose assignment does. Let me just put it that way. If you know that you're ready to live and create the life of your wildest dreams confidently and unapologetically, if you know that you're tired of like succumbing to the status quo of things, and the status quo just ain't for you, like that's go-getter issues. Like we are the standard, right? We set the standard. We are possibility personified. We are the type of people that make decisions and do things and inspire other people because they didn't even know the thing that we did or that we're doing was possible for them. And to be honest, hell, we didn't even know it either too until we did it. Until we woke up on that day and said, let's do the thing, right? I'm doing it, we're doing it, whatever. And it is what it is. So there's that part of it, right? So if you know that you, I want to invite you to book a free strategy session with me. Go to www.daniellethecoach.com/apply. My bad. And it's also in the caption, so you don't have to remember that or write it down. It's in the caption of the video. You can book a strategy session there. And then, last but not least, feeling number 4 that you can expect to feel um, in your countdown to quitting is affirmed. And here's how you might feel affirmed, right? It depends on your support system, right? Because you can affirm yourself, but this thing that you're getting ready to do is going to hit way different, right? And your mental has to be in tip top shape. And but I know that that can be difficult in this space because of the overwhelm, the frustration, the decision fatigue. Um, you're also underwhelmed, right? You're overwhelmed because you're trying to figure this thing out. There's an analysis paralysis because you got all these skills, talents, and abilities, and you don't know which one to leverage moving forward, to go and do what's next for you. You're underwhelmed because, like, your job like the back of your hand. You're not being challenged. And because technically your time there like has expired, but you're just taking up space, right? Because you haven't made a new decision on how you want to move forward. So there's all of these things happening, and then you got to affirm yourself on top of all of that. That's kind of hard. Like that affirming wrapper isn't big enough to cover all of those things that are currently coming up for you right now. So it helps an immense deal when you are affirmed by other people that are in your personal board of directors, that are in your trusted circle, in this season, that are encouraging you to go follow your heart, to live the life of your wildest dreams, to go against the status quo, all of the things, right? It helps so much to have the right non-judgmental support and accountability in tow as you're doing the things, because it can break you down. What you're doing is not easy. I mean, unless you have zero cares in the world and then, like, hey, I ain't mad at you. But for most people, right, there's a lot of like dependencies and intricacies involved in doing the thing and making the decision and following through confidently. That's the part, right? That follow through. Because as soon as you make your decision and you start to share it with people, let me tell you something. You'll get two kind of reactions. Three. One, people that just don't care. Two, people are gonna be like, wow, do the thing. They're gonna celebrate you because they don't have, like, you staying or going doesn't really affect them. They might miss you, but it doesn't have any bearing on them. And then you're gonna have people that are gonna be concerned about your welfare and your livelihood, thinking that you're just quitting your job, your well-paying job, to go sit at home and do nothing in this pseudo retirement and just spend whatever money that you have like saved or put away, and then be in a financial conundrum. They're going to catastrophize your situation for you, even though you've already done that for yourself, right? Now, some people do that because they care. Some people do that because they just can't even fathom doing what you're doing. Um, People have their reasons, right? But you got to be prepared for it, but you also got to position yourself to have the right support and accountability, and like to box out in this season to protect your peace, protect your mind, protect your sanity, and to make sure that you are positioned powerfully to quit with confidence. Like that's the thing. So you can anticipate feeling affirmed when by those that are genuinely supportive of you and not making your situation about them. You can anticipate being affirmed when you will enlist the right support and accountability, just like I did. I hired a life coach My reason for hiring a life coach though was for the accountability, because I was tired. I had a two hour commute to and from, 2 hours each way, right? Worked 9.5 hours in between the 2 hour commutes, 4 and 5 times a week. Like, I was not in the right headspace to do all of the things required to live my life and to live my life powerfully and keep juggle all of the balls that adulting requires. Work a full-time job, be an analyst, use my brain, show up and do the things, gotta have an S on my chest. That's my brand. And then come home and figure out what's next. I didn't have it in me to do it by myself. And I was self-aware enough to know. So then I sought out the help and the support that I needed. And it was exactly what I needed to keep me accountable, to make sure that I checked the boxes and put the pieces of the puzzle together that I needed in order to find my training program of choice, in order to enroll and apply, and see it through, which ultimately led me to being like waitlisted and ultimately accepted, and passing my certification program. Which, in all of that, 3 years later, now I'm a credentialed and certified professional coach. It was the dream. I saw it, and I enlisted the support and accountability that I needed, in addition to those that were already in my trusted circle and on my personal board of directors. I was affirmed. And in those moments when I started to doubt, in those moments when I started to like second guess, like, girl, what is wrong with you? You're leaving this money on the table? Like, are we sure? You got a mortgage now. You didn't have a mortgage the first time. You got a mortgage now. So all of the things that came up, they were honest, they were sincere. However, they weren't serving me. They served me to kind of keep me grounded, but they weren't serving me in the capacity of pulling me or pushing me towards the goal. They were more or less pulling at me to stay in the place, in the space that was no longer, in the life that was no longer serving me. This went way longer than what I anticipated, but clearly I told you I had the downloads. I had something on my heart today I had to get out. So I'm excited about continuing this series on the countdown to quitting. I got a lot of gems in my bag that I can't wait to share with you. What I want to also say is, one, I want to invite you again to book a free strategy session with me, right? And for this particular video, feelings that you can expect, I actually have two more feelings, but I'm going to drop them in my private Facebook group, for those in the group to hear. So if you want to hear more about these feelings, in addition to the four that I have given you here, make a go to Shift Happens with Danielle the Coach. Search for that group on Facebook. Request membership and make sure you answer all of the questions. If you don't answer all of the questions, my team won't let you in. Like, the rules are the rules, right? But all you got to do is answer the questions, and then you'll be granted membership into the group. And then you can catch the part 2 of this that is going to be posted exclusively in the group. I got two more feelings that you want to know about, that you can expect, like, when you're on this journey. That's all I got. If you've been here with me live, thank you so much. I appreciate you. If there is something that struck a chord with you in the video, do me a favor and let me know that too, okay? And if you catch the replay, do me a favor and definitely drop replay so that I know you were here, and I'll come back through and show you some love. And last but not least, if there is somebody that you know that could use what I just shared, do me a favor, do us a favor, do them a favor, and share it with them. Because they can stop talking to you about it, right? And they can get the help that they need and actually, like, do the darn thing. All right, I'll see you next time.